who is responsible for the Office of Disaster Management. The two-level facility, which has a total floor space of 740 meters squared, was constructed by Royce Real Estate and Construction and designed by Sorrel Consulting, Inc. The facility was financed through the Caribbean Development Bank under the Natural Disaster Management, Rehabilitation and Reconstruction Layou Flood Event Program. To officially welcome you and provide remarks at this very small but significant ceremony, I would like to call on the Honorable Dr. Ardis King, the Power Rep for the St. Joe constituency.
Good afternoon all. Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica, Senator, the Honorable Kasani Laville, Minister for Public Works and the Digital Economy, Honorable Reuben Blackmore, Minister for National Security and Home Affairs, my other cabinet colleagues, permanent secretaries, the consultants and the contractors who took care of this facility, Mr. Fitzroy Pascal, National Disaster Coordinator, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. A heartfelt welcome to the scenic village of Layou, known to have the largest river in Dominica, home of the Titiwi Festival. We welcome all of you today and want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be part of this historic event. We, the people of the Layou area, St. Joseph and Mero included, are indeed honored to be blessed with the construction of the state-of-the-art emergency shelter right here in Layou. This building is the first of its kind to be built here in Dominica. We are truly grateful to be the first set of recipients of such a facility. I know my people, and I know the people of Layou, St. Joseph, and Mero can feel much safer with the knowledge that this resilient structure is available for shelter in the event of a disaster. We must know that this was built not only to withstand the hurricane, but in case of an earthquake. We are truly grateful. We do wish that we never see another disaster like Hurricane Maria. However, we do not have any control over this. It is therefore very comforting that this building is here and will help protect the precious lives of our citizens. This building was also constructed with consideration given to the persons of Dominica who live with disabilities, both in the access to the building and access to the washroom facilities. It is the intention of this government to put policies in place so that all public buildings are constructed with easy access for this group of vulnerable people. I look forward to the commencement of programs here in this facility, as it is also intended to be used as a resource center. Several skill training programs in key areas are being developed for the young people of this area. This is in an effort to continue empowering our youth to prepare them for the job market or as self-employed individuals. I urge you, the young people among us today and those listening via social media, to take full advantage of these opportunities as they become available. Your future depends on your desire to achieve. Today, on behalf of the people of the St. Joseph constituency, I wish to say thank you to the government of Dominica, especially to the Prime Minister, Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, for looking out for the most vulnerable amongst us. May God continue to bless you. To my constituents, you have been chosen to be the beneficiaries of this important structure. Please show your appreciation and gratitude by taking care of it. Use it only for the purpose it is intended and protect it as if it's your very own property. We have been blessed. So, thank you once again and welcome to Layou.
Thank you, Honorable Dr. Addis King. At my first meeting with Minister Laville when I joined the ministry, I can recall the minister saying, we need to focus on the ongoing projects that are near completion. This Layou facility was identified as one of those, and particularly as the minister wanted to ensure that the facility was handed over in time for the hurricane season. So, Minister, I'm happy that we met our target, and I will call now on you to give some remarks.
Okay, please. Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica, Honorable Rayburn Blackmore, Minister for National Security and Home Affairs, Honorable Dr. Addis King, Minister for Youth Development and Empowerment, Youth at Risk, Gender Affairs, Senior Security and Dominicans with Disabilities, and Parliamentary Representative for the St. Joseph constituency. Senior Minister, other distinguished members of Cabinet, permanent secretaries, Mr. Fitzroy Pascal, National Disaster Coordinator, contractor, consultant, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to all of you. Safety and security are fundamental rights that every citizen should be afforded regardless of circumstance. This declaration is supported by many international human rights instruments, and our government expresses its sincerest commitment to not only recognize that, but we also recognize the need to address this assiduously. Almost 3 years ago, the vulnerabilities of our built environment were exposed. Life was completely upended. We were all insecure. Our housing stock was reduced to near nothing. Even what we thought were hurricane shelters were crumbled under wind pressure. Too many lives were lost, and all survivors were left with permanent scars of the perilous attack named Hurricane Maria. And while the damage was extensive, and may I add, expensive, this government did not give up. Instead, the government, in typical responsible fashion, declared war on climate change. It was soon after that the Prime Minister heralded Dominica would become the first climate resilient nation in the world. And from that announcement, work commenced. It's against this backdrop that our thinking fundamentally changed. While the concept for the Layou emergency shelter was born before Maria, many design changes were made from our experience. While many of us would want our homes to withstand any disaster, we have to be realistic because this is a cost. There is a tremendous cost to resilience. While we adapt building codes to withstand the fury and frequency of storms, the homes that we had built many years ago become more susceptible unless we find the resources to renovate and upgrade them. Regardless of what we do, there will always be some level of exposure for some among us. So this is why this government is committing to safety and security of the vulnerable by the construction of this Layou emergency shelter facility. People will now have an option, a safe place to go if they ever feel at risk or unsafe. And this is a very substantial commitment to the people of this area, a fulfillment of that human right to safety and security. This right here is an 8,000 square foot facility, a hurricane resilient facility that is. Additional to the restrooms on both floors, the facility features 115 beds, cots, with an industrialized kitchen, a small laundromat, an administrative office, storage rooms, and a medical station. It is wired for an electrical standby generator and will have a solar-powered PV system, a water storage tank with water harvesting from the roof, and pumping system will also supply water in the event of water lock-off. I am therefore proud to announce that the contractor is local, one of our very own Royce Real Estate and Construction Limited. While the consultant is Morrison Hirschfield, the sub-consultant who guided the process is local also, Sorrel Consulting Limited. So this is a hallmark project that showcases our local talent, and we are very happy as a government to facilitate and encourage homegrown talent. The financing was by way of a CDB loan, therefore procurement was in accordance with CDB guidelines. The contractor was granted possession of the site and instructed to commence at the end of January 2018. Works commenced at the end of February 2018 with scheduled completion date 31st March 2019. In light of the impact of Hurricane Maria, the sub-consultant was requested to review the design of the structure. This resulted in quite a few amendments to the structural designs. Improved resilience in the water supply by the inclusion of a water tank with a supporting water harvesting strategy, and improvements to the safety and security of users of restrooms, which was motivated by feedback from previous use of various shelters around the island and the region. As a consequence of the design review which occurred during the construction period, example, structural steel members and so on, which were ordered to have been changed in the sizing with resulting increases in weight and cost. Changes also had to be made to the foundation to accommodate the heavier loading. Other changes and amendments mentioned earlier increased the labor cost and contributed significantly to an increase in overall cost of the project. The project was completed on 3rd of December 2019, which was 8 months beyond the schedule, and at a cost increase of 47%, therefore totaling over $3 million. A significant part of the delays and costs were attributed to the design amendments of the project. Notwithstanding these cost increases, we were not willing to compromise at all. There is currently procurement ongoing for the supply of furniture and appliances for the facility, which is separate from the contract package, which give rise to this structure. This will equip the kitchen and laundromat and install basic furniture in the medical station and administrative office. I beg of you to use this facility. The beauty is not only in the building, but the beauty lies in the amount of lives spared during the next unfortunate event. Today is a great day. It is a great day indeed. It is another day with another promise fulfilled. It's another step towards resilience, another commitment to safety and security. Let us continue working together. Let us continue building together. And let us achieve the resilience we deserve. Let us build the Dominica that we deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Laville, for providing a clear scope of the project. Now I'll call on the Honorable Ribbon Blackmore to give us some remarks, please.
Good afternoon, Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Minister for Public Works, Cousin Laville, Senior Minister, Honorable Ostry, my apologies, Dr. Alice King, Minister and Member of Parliament for the St. Joseph constituency, other distinguished ministers, permanent secretaries, ladies and gentlemen, friends all, good afternoon. Especially those from, of course, from Layou, my apologies, Layou area of St. Joseph. Experiences from Tropical Storm Erica in 2015 and Hurricane Mary in 2017 have certainly taught us that displacement and homelessness as a result of natural disaster is almost an inevitable outcome. This reality is even graver, given that occurrences of more intense or major hurricanes are projected to increase due to climate change. The recommended guidelines for COVID-19 certainly have placed additional requirements on our sheltering capacity. The requirements to physical distancing rules will definitely require more space to accommodate persons in our shelters. This will have also implications for future designs of shelters if we intend to implement the lessons learned and to build resilience. This multi-purpose building in Layou depicts certainly the future of our shelters in this beautiful country, Dominica. I'm indeed very pleased that we, your government, are forward-looking in our approach to development. Now that we are in the 2020 hurricane season, it is even more critical that we increase shelter capacity. And added to that, our government, your government, is providing hundreds of resilient homes over the past year in this beautiful country. Let us not forget that. As you are aware, your government, the people's government, continues to provide modern resilient structures for dwelling purposes in several communities throughout this beautiful country, Dominica. Just last week, 322 Dominicans in the most vulnerable parts of this country received keys to resilience home in this country. It means therefore, there will be less resilient, less dependence, on shelters for this year. And before the peak period of this year, hurricane season ends, listen closely, 901 families from various parts of the country will receive keys to the resilient homes because of this caring government. If you do simple maths, if you do, and I'm being very conservative here today, If you multiply 901 by 4, I'm not good at maths, I get a total of 3,604 Dominicans Dominicans who will have safe, hurricane-proof apartments because of your current government. And that does not include the number of other houses that have been built and the number of roofs that we have covered over the past couple of years. Today here in Layou, there's no objection that therefore that Layou has the first of the free shelters that are to be built in this country. You heard before me, Honorable Castaneda Labian made reference to what is contained here. I've been advised it's 484 square feet, and space allocation on the ground floor includes kitchen accommodation, staff or office room, medical, isn't that important? Medical accommodation, laundry room, washroom for males and females. That is development, my dear friends. And I think that has to be underscored. And a capacity of 50 beds. Of course, yes, beds also will be provided in this wonderful facility too. And it has a capacity, I've been told, to accommodate 70 individuals. As I've heard before me, the total investment in this facility is just over $2.3 million. Your government will also provide all the requisite equipment and facilities and supplies for this beautiful shelter. However, residents are encouraged to stock up on emergency supplies in the event an evacuation order is issued. Soon, and I'm very happy, soon 2 additional shelters will commence. One in Jimit, of course, Jimit, in my constituency, and the other one in Cassibus. And we know the Cassibus area is also a very vulnerable area, so that's very important. And this will have the capacity to accommodate 500 and 300 persons respectively. That is very significant. I would like at this point to reiterate, for emphasis, the advice given by our Honorable Prime Minister to reinforce existing doors and windows at our dwelling homes. And shelters cannot accommodate everyone. Therefore, it is important that we should use our shelters for the most vulnerable in our communities, and that is important. Persons must continue to undertake due diligence by having their own homes disaster plans in place, and also at the community level. It's important for all of us, but within our homes and from the community level, to have our own hurricane plans. We cannot only rely on the government. It's a collective endeavor. We have to take control of our own preparedness activities in order to reduce the burden on our emergency personnel. The hurricane season is here, and the prediction is for an above season. Therefore, we must be vigilant. And let me remind persons who will use the shelter that they must take good care of this wonderful facility. We must maintain the Layou facility and resource center in good condition. This is our rightful duty as residents, and most importantly, as Dominicans. Having a nice facility is one, but we must all demonstrate ownership to that facility. And that it means, therefore, we must take care of it, and if we're to use it as a shelter, use it as a shelter and do not destroy it. May God bless you, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Blackmore, for your remarks. As Minister Blackmore mentioned, last week the Honorable Prime Minister handed over 322 housing units for beneficiaries in Daly, La Plaine, Grand Fosse, and Sauvé, ensuring that the new owners are safe for the hurricane season. So today we are happy to have the Prime Minister with us to oversee the handing over of keys for this facility, which is able to comfortably shelter over 100 persons. I'll now call on the Honorable Prime Minister to address us.
Thank you very much. Let me recognize Honorable Reginald Austray, our Senior Minister, Honorable Reverend Blackmore, Minister for National Security and Home Affairs, Honorable Dr. King, our Minister and our Power Rep for the St. Joseph constituency, Senator Honorable Cassidy Laville, our Minister of Public Works and the Digital Economy, my cabinet colleagues who are here, permanent secretaries, the Layou Improvement Committee, executive members and residents of Layou, and by extension St. Joseph, the contractors, the consultants, and all of you here present, and of course those listening via live broadcast of this event. I also want to especially recognize our former Power Rep, my friend Kelva Daru, who's here with us as well. I want to say to you, the residents of Layou, and of course Dominica by extension, that this is a wonderful gift to the residents of Layou. No doubt it will enhance the aesthetics of Layou, but very importantly, it will assure greater safety to the residents of Layou in the event of a natural disaster. Layou, because of its location, is a vulnerable community. This is why this government very early on decided that we would have given special attention and consideration to Layou in ensuring its safety by building this facility not only for difficult periods but also opportunities for training, skills development, so that we can have an economic aspect or economic benefit from the presence of this facility. Your Power Rep has spoken about the many things which you believe can be done and will be done here for the residents of Layou St. Joseph, so that the economic opportunities of our people in Layou can be enhanced. We have great confidence in the resilience and the industry of the Layou people. And I have absolutely no doubt that they will certainly take the fullest advantage of this facility. I also want to say to my friends in Layou that I have always suggested that we need to make better use of the beach at Layou to create economic activity for us. You know, things like beach volleyball or beach football can attract several hundreds of us from across the country, and of course even outside of Dominica, to partake and participate in these activities, which in turn will bring some economic opportunities. And from the government standpoint, we are prepared to provide the capital cost to cause this to happen, so that the people can benefit. And the people go out to fish, they can sell their fish, people can engage in all sorts of activities that can bring money into Layou. We've also done some work in improving the protection from the river. Some years ago we built the retaining wall and it was washed away. And with a loan that was part of this package, it wasn't only this facility, but it was part of a comprehensive package to provide comfort to the residents of Layou. So it involved things like skills training and the construction of facilities, plus this facility and also the improvement of the roadway. This is how much? Right, so the river wall which we just constructed and the improvement of the roadworks cost us about $7 or so million. The next phase of this project is to reinstate the road from the Hillsborough Bridge in the first instance to the bridge that was recently constructed by the government of China for the people of Dominica. And then we will take this from the bridge to the junction at Warner and Salter. So that greater the enhancement of our transportation means can be improved. We will have to borrow more money because, and just to say to you, that these facilities have been constructed with loan funds. So it's a loan that the government contracted from the Caribbean Development Bank to build these facilities. And because Hurricane Maria would have created further challenges or more challenges, we have to increase the scope of works, the engineering, and with all of these changes, you're talking about an increase in cost. So the decision of the government is to use the balance of funds that are available, which is about $23 million, to advance the works on the road, and then we will apply for a new loan to continue the interventions in these areas. I have also given the authorization to the Ministry of Public Works to move ahead with the reinstatement of the second bridge in Hillsborough. First, to put the piles, because we have to put in piles because the riverbed there is on sand, and we have to go as deep as possible to get to the bed to ensure that what happened with the first bridge in Layou will not happen again in the future. We're building a greater resilience and so forth. We have to speak in Layou at some point, as I have done. I came here sometime, and we need to move with this in respect to housing in Layou. As you know, Layou is really a sharecropper settlement. People having very small lots and space for sanitary services is always a challenge. And my suggestion, which I believe the PAL rep and the residents of Layou have agreed to, is to see whether we cannot join some of the lots and build proper facilities so that we can have improved housing in Layou. Because it is not always good for us to empty out a village and put them somewhere else. People would prefer being in Layou, and there are safe parts in Layou. I believe we can improve the housing and allow us to take advantage of the sea, which is really our main source of income for many families in Layou. In respect to this facility, this no doubt is coming at an opportune time for us. This is the hurricane season, and we know going forward that Layou has a safe facility, and it was built for purpose with, as the Minister of Public Works indicated, with adequate washroom facilities and an industrial kitchen, so that in the event that we have to stay there for several days, we can have all of the amenities present. And just to say to you that we just concluded in the government, along with the European Union, contractual sums of about $32 million to construct two design and build for purpose facilities, one in Jimmet and one in Casabros, for as regional hurricane shelters. You recall after Hurricane Maria, the government announced that it was going to build regional hurricane shelters in the first instance, and then focus on individual communities to enhance our preparedness and our safety during natural disasters. And we're hoping that works can commence once we can ease the travel restrictions. Work will commence on these two built-for-purpose facilities. We've also completed the designs for a specialized hurricane shelter in the Carnival territory. And this will be jointly financed by the government of Dominica and the Caribbean Development Bank. We're finalizing issues of land, and once that is done, we'll proceed with the tender process so that we can commence construction on this. Then we shall be building a regional center in the Granby area, and also in Portsmouth as the next step as regional centers, and also in the Wesley Marigot area for that catchment area. What we have also been doing in the government is with the homes that we're building, the apartments that we're building, we have designated space in these buildings as designated hurricane shelters. So if you go to Daly's, we have given up a couple apartments, and to allow for adequate space with kitchen and showers, to provide for us hurricane shelters in the event our residents would have to, those who have not benefited from resilient homes, there is a space for you. And the same thing in Grafton, and the same obtains in the village of Sansobe. So all an effort to ensure that as far as practically possible, everyone in Dominica, in the event of a natural disaster, would have a place to shelter either your own home or in a public facility like this one here in Layou. And in respect to the hurricane season, we are calling on every citizen and every community to play a part. The government continues to put things in place to properly prepare our country for any eventuality. We cannot stop a storm from coming, but we can mitigate against its impact. And there are certain actions which we individually can take and should take to ensure our safety and to assure our safety. And simple things like unblocking a drain in your village or the back of your home can make a huge difference. The taking of your cutlass and cutting a branch that could very well fall on you or fall on your home and destroy your home or even injure you. We can do those things. We don't have to wait for the government to come with a chainsaw and cut the tree in our yards or remove the stones that are blocking the farm access roads or even community roads. We have to help ourselves and help the country to help ourselves. Because if, God forbid, we were to be hit by a hurricane and it impacts our communities, things that we could have prevented, then that's monies that we should be using for other developmental issues we have to now to come to rebuild. And Hurricane Maria has taught us a lesson. And it's important for us as citizens and residents of this country to learn those lessons. And we cannot take anything for granted. Likewise, the private sector. You must not only be preoccupied with selling, but you must preoccupy yourself with safeguarding your investments in the event of a natural disaster, to ensure that you have adequate security, to ensure that your storage facilities are resilient. And so, in the event of a hurricane, then we can have access to the supplies and ensure that all people can be fed. And we're living in difficult times. This external shock caused by COVID-19 has created serious dislocation for every country in the world, rich and poor. And it calls for us to have a greater sense of belief in ourselves as a people, that notwithstanding these challenges, we can overcome and create a better way of life for us. And there is a saying, in every disappointment there is a blessing in disguise. It is left for us to look at this difficult period and to appreciate the opportunities that this difficult time has brought upon us. And so it is not time for us to complain as people or to lose faith in ourselves and the God that we serve. It is a time for us to have a renewed sense of faith and confidence in ourselves, that notwithstanding these challenges, if we work together, if we complain less, we can make things happen. Because it is always easy for people to complain, but how many are prepared to work to make life better for yourself and for your fellow men? And so the challenge is up to us, because COVID-19 has impacted every one of us as Hurricane Maria did. And we must understand that unless we work together, it makes it much more difficult for us to overcome our challenges. And I find in this country we spend just too much time on negativism. People, it's almost becoming part of our DNA in this country to be negative and to criticize. But how much more constructive and beneficial it would be if we see a problem and we try to fix it ourselves. Or we help those who are seeking to fix it. And you get the impression that the more we become developed, the greater access we have to education, especially higher education, is the more individualistic we become in Dominica. the more indifferent we become towards each other. That we drive from home and we go to work, and from work to home, and we don't even know our neighbors these days. Because we drive right into our garage and we go up through the steps to the kitchen, and we put on television and watch Netflix, and the same routine continues tomorrow. And I think that we have to cause our country to have access, greater access to our talent, our skills, our resources. That's the only way we're going to make things better if we truly want things to be better in our country. And especially with these challenges that we're confronting here in Dominica and the world over. So I want to express on behalf of the government and people of Dominica our gratitude to the Caribbean Development Bank for making the funds available. I was going to say something, but I will say some other time. And I also want to commend the efforts of the contractor and the consultants on the project. I believe, notwithstanding the fact that it was delayed a bit, but we can all appreciate that the product is fantastic and meets the expectation of all of us and so on. So we want to thank them. And I want to thank my friend Kelver for his leadership during the construction phase and the keen interest which Dr. King had taken into the completion of this project. Knowing herself being from Layou. Yes, you're from Layou. Yes. And I wanted to ensure that our people got this facility, especially before or early enough in the hurricane season. And we did not want to wait for any big ceremony. We wanted to have this official ceremony to indicate to you, the residents of Layou, that it is open. You can make use of it. And that in the event of hurricane, you can certainly come forward. So thank you, and I want to commend the efforts of Honorable Laville in pushing to get us to this point today. And to you, the residents of Layou, I celebrate with you. I am happy for you. The entire cabinet is here, and I can see in their faces they're all wishing that this facility was being built in your constituency. They're watching around and saying, and they try to figure where in the constituency they could have placed this building there and so on. But I know that we are doing a facility in Trafalgar. We're building such a facility in Trafalgar, and also in the village of Vickers as well. So I want to thank you again, my dear friends. Let us work together to build this country. This country is ours. Life is not perfect here, but if you tell me one country where life is perfect, then I believe all of us should go and live there. But I am certain you will not be able to come up with any such country that is perfect. Every country has its own challenges in varying degrees. It is up to us to build upon what we have. And so when we come to a point of bequeathing this country to succeeding generations, it will be better than when it was bequeathed to us. And that is our challenge. That is our challenge. And I want to say to us in Dominica that, in my respectful view, there's just too much partisan politics in this country. I would like to see a point where political parties can fight the rough and tumble of an election, may the best party win, and next morning we back working together as brothers and sisters. And I believe it can happen. It can happen. But it can only happen if we give our commitment to this. And I mean, the best party has won in 5 straight times, so. But elections are very far away because all of these things are happening. They're giving up homes and opening up bridges and giving us facilities. This thing in many countries is the election year. So the Dominican people are a bit confused. I wonder whether this carry going to call an early one this time around. But we have a long way to go. We have a lot of work to do. and we have to work together to overcome the challenges beset upon us by COVID-19. But thank you, all of you, and the residents of Layou. Let us work on some of the economic prospects, the economic projects, I believe, that would certainly help in creating greater opportunities for us here in Layou. And the government is waiting on you. Tell us, let's go ahead, that's the cost, and we shall underwrite the costs associated with the commencement of these programs in the village of Layou. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister, for your address, as usual, for your positive words and words of encouragement. Now we are going to have the handing over of the keys from Minister Laville to Minister Blackmore. So, Minister, you come forward. And the keys are actually in the basket. It's not simple. That's the real thing. Thank you very much. We are going to now call on the National Disaster Coordinator, Mr. Fisher Pascal, to give some word of thanks.
Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica, Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, Senior Minister, Honorable Reginald Ostry, Minister for National Security and Home Affairs, Honorable Rayburn Blackmore, Minister for Public Works and the Digital Economy, Senator the Honorable Kasani Laville, Parliamentary Representative for the St. Joseph constituency, Honorable Dr. Addis King, other honorable members of Cabinet, Permanent Secretary, Minister of Public Works and the Digital Economy, Mr. Roland Roy, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of National Security and Home Affairs, Ms. Joanne Commodore, other Permanent Secretaries and senior government officials, former Parliamentary Representative for the St. Joseph constituency, Mr. Kelvadaru, representatives of Sorrel Consulting Limited, contractor Roy C., invited guests, the media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I am indeed honored to be part of this memorable occasion this afternoon to witness the handing over of the first purposefully built emergency shelter and resource center at Layou. This is a first in Dominica and quite possibly in the Eastern Caribbean region. I am very pleased that the people of Layou can now rest assured that they have a strong building outfitted to cater to their needs temporarily as a shelter during an emergency or disaster situation and for longer-term use to facilitate community activities. This is a safe space from the eventuality of being impacted by hydromet events such as tropical storms, hurricanes, or flooding from other weather systems. I would like to thank everyone here today for their contributions to making this project a reality. Let me first thank the Parliamentary Representative for the St. Joseph constituency, Honorable Dr. Addis King, for extending this invitation. A heartfelt appreciation to the Prime Minister, Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, and the Government of the Commonwealth of Dominica, by extension, for the unwavering support for this project and for having the interests and safety of the people of Layou at heart. The considerable level of effort by the Ministry of Public Works and the Digital Economy from project start to end must be commended, and for that I extend my gratitude to Senator Honorable Kasani Laville. I must also recognize the Minister for National Security and Home Affairs, Honorable Rayburn Blackmore, for accepting this emergency shelter and resource center on behalf of the residents of Layou as part of our ministry's mandate for disaster management. Finally, let me acknowledge the people of Layou in advance for ensuring proper care and upkeep of this building. Let it be the model that all the upcoming purposefully built shelter facilities, including Jimit and Castle Bruce, will follow. I cannot overemphasize the importance of having such a facility dedicated to increasing emergency shelter capacity, and you taking care of this facility is part of your contribution towards building resilience. Again, thanks to all for your support and for your attendance here today at this handing over ceremony. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Pascal, for saying thank you. Just want to add the Ministry's appreciation to the consultant once more, Sorrel Consulting Inc., and especially the contractor, Mr. Roy of Roy's Real Estate Construction. Also, Mr. Howard Barrett from the Caribbean Development Bank. That was his baby project, and he ensured that all the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed to brought us to the finish line. Thank you, Mr. Barrett. And staff of the Technical Service Division who oversaw the payment certificates and all the other technicalities in bringing the project to conclusion. Thank you, CTO and your team. And of course, SAO, Mrs. Unijon, and the admin team for the efforts in planning today's ceremony. Now we are going to go right to our final part of our agenda, which is the walkthrough, which will be led by Mr. Alistair Grell of Sorrel Consulting Limited. And first we will allow the Prime Minister and members of Cabinet and the Permanent Secretaries to do the tour, and then the rest of us will follow. So Mr. Alistair Grell, can you take lead, and you'll be followed by the head table and the other members of Cabinet. Once again, thank you for coming. It was our pleasure. Good afternoon.